And good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. My normal co-host, Josh Harris, is just having a couple technical difficulties right now. Apparently, the optimizer gave him Mitch Marner in his stacks, and he just smashed his computer to bits. So we're going to have to wait a little bit for Josh to join us, but we are here to talk about a massive 14-game slate that we have ahead of us just before American Thanksgiving. I do see a little over 30 people in the chat to start with. I see about 15 thumbs up. If you guys could all give us a thumbs up, click that like button, really helps us get to that top of the algorithm, really helps us look good for our bosses here. And click that subscribe button. Subscriptions help grow this channel, help keep these shows coming on a regular basis, whether it's NHL, whether it's NFL, whether it's NBA, what have you. Any subscription helps all our shows. So please do that. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out quite a bit. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Yahoo Fantasy. They've been sponsoring us all season long, and they've been very good to us. And we have a very special giveaway from them. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. For first time Yahoo Fantasy users, also should mention, we have a data central here at Awesemo.com for our users. Jake and I and Josh were talking about this last night. It appears that it's not something that people are very familiar with, or even know that we have. Like, it sorts, our NHL Data Central sorts everything into one column. You have your DraftKings fantasy points, you have your position, your team, the power play, the line, the salary, their value, what their ranking is, the team total, what their ownership should be. You have everything you need on one sheet. So instead of, everything except for top stacks, I guess. So if you want to, just check out the ownership and projections and everything on one list, there you go. Just head on over to Data Central and check out what we have for NHL. It'll show you everything that we have for all our players. And it'll be a big help for those that just kind of want to simplify their process and don't want to have to click through a whole bunch of tabs. Let's talk about last night real quick. It was a 3-game slate last night. I actually had a pretty good night myself. I want to say I banked the $20 3 max. I didn't bank it. I chopped it with Sissima. Sissima was my nemesis last night. Chopped the $20 3 max with him. Finished top 10 in the $40 multi-entry last night. Single entry for myself. Tied for 7th with a Sissima 3-team train. He had the same lineup 3 times in that $40. So I tied with him again over in the $40 with 3 different lineups, but that's fine. I'll take that. Nice little 6X night for me. So take those kind of nights and run with it. I saw Jake in chat. Jake Harry, our boss, had a very good night last night as well. Banked the $4.44, I should say, over on FanDuel. I think that's 5K to first. So very nice for Jake. Good for him over on FanDuel. I also got a message. Dave from Tampa. His screen name is Ostedra. He watches this show all the time. And he banked last night as well, took down the 121 single entry and took down some other contests down with it, about $3,000 for him. So pretty good nights here at Awesemo on a short slate. I guess that's what happens when you fade Connor McDavid on a 3-game slate and he doesn't do anything. So not sure we can get lucky like that again. Believe me, whenever you fade McDavid or Ovechkin on a short slate like that, it is white knuckle time the entire slate, because in 5 minutes, he can absolutely just snap the whole thing wide open, and there's not a moment's rest until that final whistle is blown. So good stuff all around last night. Let's hope we can carry this over into tonight. Like I said, we do have a massive 14-game slate. It's why we started the show a little bit early today. I just want to give some general thoughts on this slate before we dive in. The first thing is on a slate this big, I wouldn't really worry about ownership. Like, I know there are some places that are going to get, over owned by our top stacks tool. You want to call it leverage, whatever you want to call it. There are places that are going to be over owned. Like Arizona looks like it's going to be over owned. Maybe some Pittsburgh spots, definitely San Jose. But even all those quote, over owned spots are coming in under 10%. That's what happens on a slate this big. So yeah, sure, maybe San Jose one comes in over owned, but they're still going to be like 8 or 9%. Like, there's not going to be a lot of ownership on them. So on a slate this size, what I'll tell everybody is that if you like your lineup and you like your plays, if you like your lineups, whether you're playing 1, 3, 20, 150, doesn't matter what it is. If you like your lineups and you like the way your lineups look, just go with it. Do not worry about ownership today. Don't sit there and be like, oh, I have a 25% Connor McDavid and I might have a 10%, secondary stack with it. Don't worry about it. Like, for example, I just looked at the $40 winner from last night. Last night was a 3-game slate. The $40 winner from last night was a solo win, had 1 player under 10% owned and only 3 players under 20%. Everybody, 6 out of 9 players in his lineup were over 20% owned. And he solo won the $40 last night. That's, ownership. Ownership is very good for directing you on where to go, but don't let it, be the end all be all in your lineups. If it's on a slate this big, if you like your lineup, just go with it. So with that in mind, we do have a very important game right off the start. We have the Boston Bruins with a 3.4 implied goal total. They're going into Buffalo. Buffalo Sabres actually have a fairly high implied goal total here. They're sitting with a 3.2 or 2. Sorry, that should read 2.2. That's my mistake on the screen there. It should be 3.5 and 2.2 for the Sabres. I was wondering that was my mistake. I was wondering what I had typed in there. Obviously, there's going to be a fair bit of ownership on Boston tonight. The Boston top line is usually fairly owned. But looking at our top stacks tool, Boston one is only coming in at around 3 or 4% ownership. And the reason for that is the price, right? The 3-man stack of Bergeron, Pasternak, and Marchand coming in over 25K on DraftKings. That means they'll cost you over half your salary. It's a lot. And it's a lot when you're on the road. And it's a lot when you're on the road on a 14-game slate when there are 28 teams playing. I will say for this game in particular, what I would probably do is dump down to the second line and just use bits and parts, like a Foligno Hall 2-man, Coyle Foligno 2-man, something like that. You know, we always talk about here at Awesemo, when you see those massive totals and you do worry about ownership. I'm not worried about ownership in this game. What I'm worried about is the price on Boston 1. I'm not worried about their ownership. So if I want to get away from that Boston 1 price, obviously you have to dip down. So you can go down to that second line, you know, Coyle Foligno 2-man, something like that. I think where I'd rather look actually is somewhere like a DeBrusk Smith 2-man or Smith Holla 2-man. That third line for Boston has looked pretty good since they've been put together. I don't think it's a big surprise. Jake DeBrusk is a good middle six winger, as is Craig Smith. They can float Eric Holla. So, you know, if we're going to talk about Edmonton and Colorado a little bit later, those are very expensive spots as well. One of those cheap 2-mans that I do like here tonight is something like, you know, Smith DeBrusk, Smith Holla, something like that. So Boston 3, real cheap. I do like that here tonight. I think what's worrying me for the Boston top line is, we talked about it in our Discord earlier, the Boston top line typically doesn't play a lot against Buffalo. And that makes sense because Buffalo's been a bad team for years now. You know, they have had big games. David Pasternak in particular, I think, has had a couple big games against Buffalo. But against the Sabres, you'll see them skate 15, 16, 17 minutes. And yeah, they can absolutely put up 3 or 4 goals in those minutes. But I'd rather, you know, if I'm paying $25K for a line on the road, you know, I'd rather it be a line that's playing 20, 21 minutes and not, you know, 16 or 17. So, like, because they have such good leverage, like, you know, make no mistake, Boston 1 has the best leverage on the slate for any line. Wouldn't begrudge you going 3-man. I think I'd probably go like Pasternak, Marchand 2-man, Pasternak, Marchand, McAvoy, something like that. Pasternak, Marchand, Grizzly. That's probably where I would go if I was going to Boston 1. But I think Boston 3 is what I like most out of this game. Nothing on the Buffalo side for me. That Tage Thompson line, like, they're good, but they're going to go into Boston 1, and I just do not want that matchup. And then down from there, it'd probably be just taking one-offs, like a one-off Cousins or a one-off, I don't even want to say Oppo, so I think it's probably just one-off Cousins for me. So that's about it for the forwards. On the blue line, there's not really a whole lot to talk about here other than maybe correlating. Boston's power play, you know, obviously if you want to correlate McAvoy with it, that's fine. You want to dump down and go to like a Brandon Carlo, I think that's fine as well. But honestly, I don't think this is a game where I'm going to be looking for my defenseman. Robert Hagg might make sense for shot blocks at 2,900 for Buffalo, but that's kind of about it. Like, this isn't a game for me where I'm looking for my defenseman. I'm looking for games that I think will be a little bit higher paced, and sitting with a 5.7 total, I don't think this is the game to do it. So I'm going to move along to the next game. And the next game is definitely one where we're going to expect a higher pace. We have the Philadelphia Flyers going into Florida. Philly has a 3.0 implied goal total. The Flyers are sitting at the Panthers, are sitting at 3.5. We should mention one thing. Florida got absolutely hammered in the betting markets today. The Florida side went all the way from 3.5 to 4. So expect a lot of ownership on Florida here, and for good reason. Anybody that's read my Power Plays article either yesterday or today, I write them 2 or 3 days a week up at Awesemo.com. They're free to read. They usually have DFS stacks and plays. Jeff Votler, Vots, writes the others sometimes, Thursdays and Fridays usually. But anyways, I talked a lot about the Philly penalty kill, and the Philly penalty kill has just been flat out bad. Second most shot attempts against in the month of November. Most expected goals against in the month of November. The only thing that's saving them is their goaltending, and you can't rely on 930 goaltending on the penalty kill game in and game out. So I do like the Florida top line a lot here tonight. They're probably one of my favorite top lines on the entire slate. I'm going to go through the number of reasons. One, they're not carrying. I know I said not to worry about ownership, but anybody that has to worry about ownership, they're not carrying any. We have them under 5%. By our top stacks tool. 2, Huberdeau, Bennett, and Duclair are all perfectly correlated on the power play together. And as I mentioned, that Philly penalty kill is absolutely atrocious. And not only that, Philly's one of the most penalized teams in the NHL, coming in with the 6th most time shorthanded. So a bad penalty kill and a lot of time shorthanded. I see Mike shaking his head in the background. He knows how bad this Philly penalty kill is. So that's what we're going to attack here. And the Florida top line, all perfectly correlated together, all coming in at reasonable ownership, coming in with a 4 total, and they're not expensive. I know they're up around 18K, and that is expensive for a line without Barkov, but I believe in the talents of all 3 of these players. We've seen Bennett and Huberdeau have real good success together over their 30 games or so now. Adding Duclair, who's really come into his own since getting to Florida. I really, really like that top line here tonight. And the concern normally is facing Sean Couturier. He's typically a really good shutdown matchup, but over the last couple seasons without Claude Giroux, he just hasn't looked like the same player. With Claude Giroux over the last 2 years, 62% shot share, 53% without him, 57% expected goal share with him, 50% without him. Like those are massive fall offs. So I'm not worried about the Florida 1 matchup here at all. So I will be going in, or the Philly 1 matchup. So I'll be going into Florida 1. The one thing I will mention is that since Barkov got hurt, they have been spreading around the ice time a fair bit. Sam Bennett, the only forward getting over 18 minutes a night since Barkov's injury. Even the fourth liners are getting somewhere around 12 and 13 minutes a night. So that's kind of the one thing that's worrying me here, is that Florida top line might only play 17 or 18 minutes, but unlike the Boston line, they're priced reasonably down around 18K, not up at 25K on the road. So I do like that Florida top line. I should mention for Philly, they did play last night, and they're calling up Morgan Frost. Morgan Frost is probably their top forward prospect that's not in the NHL right now. People might remember he played there quite a bit last year, but didn't really find any success. He looks like he's having some success in the AHL this year, very nearly a point per game, but we just don't know where he's going to line up because they played last night and we won't know until warm up. So, if you want to play Morgan Frost, if he lines up on the second line with Cam Atkinson or something like that, I'd say that's fine. But I'm not rushing out to play any Philly players here tonight. It'd be more just one-offing some guys, like a one-off, a JVR or something like that. Maybe he can get in on some power play scoring. So out on Philly, in on Florida 1. If you want to go with some Florida depth, I think that's fine here. Like I said, the third and fourth lines are starting to play a lot more minutes. So if you want to one-off like a Vetrano or a Tippett or even a Hornqvist, obviously, because he's getting some power play time, I'm fine with that as well. So Florida 1 is the focus for me, but don't mind some one-offs from the depth on either side. On the blue line, I wrote Aaron Ekblad up today in my Power Plays article. We should mention he doesn't block shots, so he's not a guy I would consider for cash games. He does have a reasonably low floor because he doesn't block shots. But as I mentioned with his power play matchup, it's too good to pass up and just say, I'm not going to put Ekblad in my stacks. I think you have to find a way to get him in at least a couple of your Florida power play stacks. And then I think he's fine to use as a one-off as well. Marty Jones has looked really good for Florida in net, or for Philly in net, sorry. So, maybe Florida wins this game, but maybe it's 3-1 or something like that, or 4-1, and they don't explode, but, Ekblad gets in on 3 of the goals because the power play does well. So I could see Ekblad as a one-off here tonight. Don't mind him. If you want to dump down to Radko Gudas, I think that's fine, but I don't know if it's necessarily a block bonus threat for tonight. So I'd probably look to Forsling. I think he can generate some offense in this matchup. On the Philly side, I think Justin Braun is fine at 3,400. He should probably see some shot volume into his shin pads. So Justin Braun is a fine punt defenseman. And, Martin Jones, 7,300. He's going to see a lot of volume tonight. I think he could do worse for a GPP goalie. And I'm only saying that because Josh isn't here. He would jump down my throat if he ever heard me recommending Marty Jones in DFS. But I don't mind him because he should see a little bit of volume here tonight. All right. Give us a like and a subscribe while you guys are here. We're up to about 80 watching, only 30 thumbs up. Come on, guys. I know you guys can do better than that. Subscribing will help you keep up with all of our shows and all our offers and all our giveaways and everything that we give away here at Awesemo. Click that little bell if you want to get alerts when our shows do go live. Be sure to check out today's free premium tools and data. We have free premium tools and data up on the site almost every day, and today is no exception. We have NBA player projections and NHL top stacks up on the site for tonight. You'll hear me talk about top stacks all day long. So check them out tonight if you are not a subscriber or want to see what we're all about. And if you're playing NBA DFS, be sure to check out Adam Scherer's NBA Deep Dive article, which is the most in-depth and free NBA DFS article out there. Just looking through our chat, I see a couple people talking about fading the Oilers last night and it working out. Yes, it did. One thing I will, like I said, it's white knuckle time every time you fade the Oilers or fade Ovechkin or fade Matthews or those guys on short slates. It can work out very, very well in your favor. It can work out very, very poorly. It worked out well last night, so we'll take those winnings and run. I see Mr. S. Goodman Esquire threw in a super chat, a 569 super chat. But he forgot to type in what he wanted to say in the super chat. So he said he's just here to throw it in to break up the 14-game filibuster. Thank you very much, Mr. Goodman. I think that's just about it for chat so far. So we'll keep going through these games. The next game up, Minnesota 3.2 implied goal total. They're going into New Jersey. The Devils have a 2.8 implied goal total, but I will mention this is another one of those spots where the implied goal totals come up quite a bit through the day. In fact, this is something I don't remember seeing recently anyways. New Jersey and Minnesota opened up with a 5.5 total, and that got steamed all the way to 6.5. Minnesota went from 3 implied goals to 3.4. Jersey from 2.7 to 3.3. In fact, New Jersey has the highest implied goal total jump of any team on the slate today. Oh boy, here we go. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to bring in Mr. Joshua Harris, our single entry assassin. He had some technical difficulties. That dang Mitch Marner always gets to you. But he's back now, and he's back here to talk about Minnesota and New Jersey. We're breaking down the Minnesota and New Jersey game, Josh, but we're just jumping into it. So maybe just get your overall thoughts on this game, seeing as the implied goal totals have come up a lot for both teams.
Yeah. First of all, I'm getting a new laptop. That was ridiculous. Second of all, I blame Mitch Marner and the absolute clown shows who played Tage Thompson and Cash on Monday. It's both y'all's fault. And if you have any laptop suggestions, hit me up on Twitter. Give me your best one. Best one, I'm getting you a week membership to Awesemo. Let's talk some hockey.
There we go. That was wild. Let's break it down.
Yeah. This is like a 98 total I'm jumping into here. The Devils total went way up during the day. The Wild still have the checking line of Greenway, Eriksson, Foligno. So it is you're gonna want the Devils line who doesn't see them, obviously, right? So of course I don't have anything loaded because my computer's from the Stone Age. Who do you have with the?
I have the Hischier top line against Hartman and Kaprizov, and then Mercer up against that Eriksson Foligno line. So I think New Jersey 2 is probably the line to avoid.
Yeah. So I mean, and if you look at the ownership right now in the Awesemo lineup builder, which is great, the top line of Nico Hischier is actually lower owned than the second line of Dawson Mercer, and they're going to avoid that checking line. So for me, like 3% on a 14-game slate is around like normal. So like if you think on like an 8-9 game slate, you see like 7, 8, 9%. I don't know if I'm doing the math correct, but if you extrapolate that out, 3% is about normal for me. I mean, I do like that top line. The power play time does concern me, but you know, I don't really play the Devils for the power play. I like that Hischier matchup. The price is good. Let you get in some expensive stuff if you want to, you know, do a Zacha Hischier or Hischier Tatar. You know, Tatar is the cheapest one on that line. So Devils one, I like. On the flip side, like Hischier line has been actually pretty good defensively as well. But I think for me on the Wild side, I'm going to go to that third line of Fiala and Gaudreau. If you want to use that Eriksson Foligno Greenway line, like there's absolutely no ownership on the second and third lines of the Wild tonight. I don't think like you need to dig like super deep in 1 to 3. Like 1 to 3, you just concentrate on top sixes. But if you want to get a little wild in 150, I think there's some stuff to like, you know, you do a little bit of that checking line, do a little bit like a Fiala Gaudreau. If you want to use that top line, it's fine. But Wild Devils in 1 to 3, not going to be primary for me.
Yeah, New Jersey 1 was the line that I wrote up in my Power Plays article today for a lot of the reasons you outlined. I, I think the penalty rates are important to mention here too. Super high penalty rates for both teams. And I think that might be why the over-under is getting steamed here, right? Like we could see, 8, 9, 10 power plays in this game. Now, the difference being Minnesota, believe it or not, Minnesota's penalty kill is pretty bad. 7.8 expected goals against per 60 on the season. That would put them in the bottom 10 of the NHL. So I do like that New Jersey top power play unit. You mentioned Tatar and Zaka. Those are probably the guys that I would focus on. But I don't mind just 3-man stacking the entire line, honestly, and throwing in a little Dougie Hamilton with them. Minnesota 3, I think, is a line that I agree with you. I'm looking forward to playing. Gaudreau and Fiala have really good numbers together this year. 85 minutes together, 59% shot share, 68% expected goal share. They're going to go up against the third and fourth lines from New Jersey. And, there's still a bunch of youth in those third and fourth lines. I think that's where Minnesota can do some damage. So like a Gaudreau, Fiala 2-man, Fiala Pitlick 2-man, something like that. I do like that as well. So New Jersey 1, maybe a little Minnesota 3. Should mention Jonas Brodin jumped to the top power play unit for Minnesota. It's not Jared Spurgeon anymore. On the blue line, I saw Ryan Graves' prices drop quite a bit. He's down 4,400. I don't mind that price. Anybody else stick out to you?
Yeah, there's some interesting guys in that like 45 to 5 or the 44 to 5K range on DraftKings tonight. There's like a lot of good options. I like Graves, Dougie for power play stacking. Brodin, interesting price of 4,200. Again, like 4 to 5K is just like flush with great options. So other than that, not really looking much at this game.
All right, let's move it along then. Vancouver is coming in with a 2.3 implied goal total. Pittsburgh has a 3.3 implied goal total. Should mention this is another game where the over got slammed and Pittsburgh's gone all the way up to 3.7 implied goal total. I suspect there's going to be a fair amount of ownership on them here tonight, especially when you look at the price. The price for Pitt 1 in our top on DraftKings is $18,600. That's probably a $21,000 or $22,000 line when they're really clicking and going together. So, but the ownership is still in check. Like I said at the top of the show, not a lot of ownership on a 14-game slate. So what do you like here, Josh?
This is interesting because Vancouver mixed up their lines completely. So I don't know who they're going to send out Crosby against. Like I would imagine like they're going to send the third line Bluger, Zach Aston Reese McGinn out against JT Miller, Besser, Hoglander.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, I mean, like Crosby's going to get Pettersson or they're going to get Horvat. And like, yeah, Horvat's good. But, Tyler Mott, Tanner Pearson, like there's just nothing like, oh man, I can't stack Pitt 1 tonight because that vaunted shutdown line in the Canucks. Like that's not something that's going to come out of my mouth this year. So like I like Pitt 1 here. They're fully correlated. They're cheap. They're coming in around 8% right now. And I think that's, that's fair for them, especially at their price. They haven't been great, but like what's an elixir for the Penguins top line? It could just be the Canucks. You know what I mean? So like I really like the Penguins top line tonight. You want to go down to that second line, it's fine. But again, like, Carter is the highest. We're projecting Carter to be the highest owned Penguin right now. There's no reason to play Jeff Carter over Crosby when you can get Crosby for less. And, I understand it's the 1,700 difference, and they're both on power play 1. But I think, how often can you get Crosby under 7K in a great matchup? You know what I mean? So Pitt 1 is going to be a priority for me tonight. They're definitely in my 1 to 3 mix. Pittsburgh power play stack, you want to include Carter. I think that is another way to go as well. So Pitt 1, Pitt power play. On the Canucks side, I do like that Miller Besser Hoglander line. It's just not going to be tonight. I'll save that for another day. And these other lines like Podkolzin, Pettersson, Garland is okay, but like there's no, like the power play correlation isn't there. They haven't played much together. It's still a question mark. This is a fairly tough matchup. Horvat, Pearson, Mott, like the same deal. Like I'll just save the Canucks for a slate where they're not 2.3 on the road in a tough matchup.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I am with Vancouver. Like I'd want to play them, but on a 14-game slate on the road with a 2.3 total, like I just don't see a reason to in my 20 lineup. So I'm out on Vancouver tonight with you on Pitt 1. They're one of my favorite lines on the entire slate. We talk about how, maybe Crosby's not all the way back from COVID. That very well could be the case. I'm just going to gamble with it tonight in such a good matchup. Vancouver's penalty kill has just completely fallen apart. Bottom 5 by the penalty kill this month. And they're taking a lot of penalties as well. They're like 11th by time shorthanded. So yeah, Pittsburgh top line, all in for me. Well, not all in, but I do like them a lot in this matchup. We have a special going on for Black Friday, which you need to take advantage of. Our NFL Express Weekly Pass is the best way to introduce yourself to NFL DFS, and we're giving all new users the opportunity to access it for only $1 for the first week with promo code STUFFING. It's all caps, all one word, STUFFING. This package includes player rankings, ownership rankings, and everything else we have to offer for NFL Showdown and single game contests. Also included is access to our premium tools and data for in-season fantasy football and tiers contests on DraftKings. That's promo code STUFFING, all caps, all one word, to access our most expansive NFL Express Pass ever for only $1 for your first week. You can activate that coupon by clicking the link in the description of this video below. This offer is valid through Friday, November 26th. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. That's promo code STUFFING, all caps, all one word. I tried to get through it, guys. I really tried.
Like promo code turkey would have been so much, but stuffing just makes everyone laugh.
Stuffing with capital letters just makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, why not promo code moist or something? Like, come on. All right, let's move it along. Montreal, 2.5 implied goal total going into Washington. Washington has a 3.4 implied goal total. Alexei Protas was called up and is put on the first line for Washington. He's also skating on the top power play unit. People ask about prospects all the time. This is a nothing prospect. I mean, I want to say he's a nothing prospect. I haven't watched him play in the AHL this year, but all his numbers at every level, including the AHL this year, are very pedestrian. So I'm assuming he's like, at best, it's like putting Connor Sheary up there or putting Daniel Sprong up there. Like, this isn't a Seth Jarvis or something where it's like you have to slam him in for min price, right? So that's all I'm going to have to say about this. What do you have to say on this game?
Yeah, I mean, he's also a center on DraftKings. So if you full stack, Capitals 1, you're going 2C, 1 wing. Could make them a little bit lower owned as the threesome, but like, I don't know. I mean, this is a very good special team spot. And if he does like donk an assist on the power play, I think, it's perfectly fine. Ovechkin's price is really high, 9,300. I think the Caps 1, Caps power play is completely fine here. I don't know if I'd stack anything outside the top line. And then, the Dowd, Hathaway, Hagelin line is going to get, Suzuki, Toffoli, Caulfield. Their numbers are okay defensively. I just don't know if I'm going to get to the Habs on the slate. You know what I mean? Like, especially in 1 to 3, the Habs have been a bit rough recently. Caulfield has come back. He hasn't done too much. I just, I think for me, the Habs are just going to be like a sprinkle in MME.
Yeah, it's just I don't really like the Montreal line combinations particularly. Like, Cole Caulfield just hasn't looked right for them at all, and that second line with Drouin, Dvorak, and Anderson. I think you mentioned it on the show I missed, that they haven't really looked that good since the first couple of weeks of the season, and I actually went and kind of dug into that. The Montreal second line, over their last 75 minutes, which would be about 6 or 7 games played, 41% shot share, 36% expected goal share. That's really bad. Now, the problem is there's no matchup from Washington to take advantage of here because they do send out some depth against that line, but I really just do like Washington here tonight. Montreal is 9th by time shorthanded. Washington is 7th by power play opportunities. The Caps could easily get 4 or 5 power plays here today. You give Ovechkin 4 or 5 power plays, and they're going to roll. So I don't think you need to play Protas here. I think you can leave him off. Like, he's going to carry a lot of ownership because he's 2,500, I think, and he's on power play 1. People are going to know that. But I don't have a lot of faith he lasts longer than 10 minutes on that top line. Like, would it surprise you if Tom Wilson's on the top line by the second period? It wouldn't surprise me. So I would just go Kuznetsov, Ovechkin. Nothing but one-offs for me on the Montreal side. I doubt I'll even get to one-offs from them. On the blue line, Not a whole lot on either side. I think David Savard might be fine. Maybe 3 pucks hit him and he can get the block bonus. Min price, that's about it for me.
Yeah, and Carlson obviously in power play stacks, but other than that, like there's nothing that I want to play.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's move it along. Winnipeg 2.9 implied goal total. They're going to Columbus. The Jackets have a 2.7 implied goal total. I do believe this is another instance where we've had a ton of line movement, not with the goals, but with the teams. Columbus opened at a minus 120 favorite, and now they're a plus 120 dog. So there's I know we're not seeing a lot of Winnipeg ownership. I feel like there's going to be more ownership than we're showing just because there's a lot of line movement on towards them. But on a 14-game slate, there's, like I said earlier, you don't have to worry about ownership. So just tell me what you like out of this game, Josh.
Yeah, so if I was writing a betting article, I would bet the over on this game. Like 5.5 is low to me. The general line is probably going to get the Scheifele line 1-1, 2-2, and they're both high event lines. Like they trade chances, both lines, I mean, top line, second line on both sides, they trade chances. So I think, the top 6 on both teams are in play here. It's just a matter of preference, right? Because, I think the most popular line tonight is going to be Winnipeg 2, Kyle Connor, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Blake Wheeler, just because they're fully correlated on the power play. You can get them in with Schmidt. Schmidt's not overly expensive. It gets you a 4-man that, is not going to break the bank. So I like that. I think they might actually get the general line. I'm not sure how. I don't think, it was weird because when the Jackets played the Sabres the other night, they sent out the general line against all 4 lines. So they don't really match. They just kind of roll with it. And so I think I prefer the Winnipeg side, specifically Dubois, Wheeler, Connor. You want to go to Kopp, Scheifele, Ehlers, I think that's perfectly fine. You can put them in with Pionk. I like Pionk the best on the blue line. And on the Columbus side, I prefer the Jenner Bjorkstrand 2-man over, Sillinger Voracek. If you need the cheaper 2-man, obviously you can go Sillinger Voracek. But for me, Jenner Bjorkstrand has been a crazy good combo this year. It's a good power play spot. Winnipeg Jets penalty kill has been bad. So if you want to, do Jenner Bjorkstrand and add in a Voracek, add in the Sillinger, I think that's perfectly fine. So there's a lot to like in this game, despite it being at 5.5 on a 14-game slate.
Yeah, there is a lot to like here. I think I'm going to differ with you on the Winnipeg side. I really do like that Ehlers Kopp Scheifele line. Correlation not necessarily the best, but you still get Scheifele on 1 power play unit. But what stuck out to me watching them their last few games is Kopp, Scheifele, Ehlers. Whether they're up 3-1 or down 1-3, they're on the ice with the empty net. Whether they're the team with the empty net or whether they're trying to score, they're always on the ice at the end of the game. And there's probably going to be with Blake Wheeler. So it's something that's always in the back of my mind with Winnipeg is they always send out the same guys with the empty net. And some of those guys are gonna be Kopp, Scheifele, Ehlers. Like Connor and Dubois will not see much ice at the end of the game, right? That's kind of my reasoning here is I think that Winnipeg top line, and they could just get a better matchup. I think going into that second line is a better matchup anyway. So I do I like the Kopp, Scheifele, Ehlers line just flat out here. I think you probably have to 2-man them because they are relatively expensive, like 18K or 17K on the road or something like that. But I do like that line. So I'll probably 2-man like Kopp, Scheifele or Scheifele, Ehlers or Kopp, Ehlers or something like that. So that's where I am. I'm out on Columbus. I'm thinking Winnipeg is arguably the most improved team in the NHL this year. And I think Winnipeg is a legit cup contender. And I think there's a reason why the money's going to Winnipeg and why Columbus's implied goal total is dropping. So I'm out on Columbus, maybe except somebody on the blue line, like a Gavrikov for block shots. Is there anybody else that sticks out to you?
I'm a Jake Bean stan, so Jake Bean. If you're using the Winnipeg top line, Neil Pionk, cheaper than Schmidt, runs the second power play unit. I like Pionk the best on that line, on the blue line.
Yeah, and Pionk block shots too, right? He's always a block shot threat, so it's nice when you can bring in a little bit more than just points. mentioned earlier that we have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season, and we indeed have. They are here to help bring you some great offers. So check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we'll reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 below to enter any Yahoo contest, including the $1 million Everyone Wins Thanksgiving Baller, which is the most user-friendly DFS contest you will find anywhere, with a management fee of minus 900%. That's kind of unbelievable, actually. There's absolutely no reason not to enter this contest. It's only $1 for a chance to win $100,000, and you automatically make at least $1 profit, even if you come in dead last. That's right. Yahoo is paying you at least $1 for a chance to win $100,000 this Thanksgiving. Just make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Like, I don't know how many more giveaways we have to give here. Like, a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, and you get to make free money playing in their contest, and you get a shot at $100,000. Like, there are only so many ways we can help you guys get your feet wet here in DFS. These giveaways are actually just insane. I wish these were around when I started back, 6 to 7 years ago. So just a big thank you to Yahoo, and make sure if you're a first-time user, click through the link below. You can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, let's move this along. St. Louis 2.9 implied goal total. They're going into Detroit. The Red Wings have a 2.6 implied goal total. We did have some lineup news for St. Louis today. Braden Shen is back in the lineup. So this is what the St. Louis lineup tentatively looks like. Barbashev, O'Reilly, Perron, top line. Second line of Saad, Shen, Kyrou. And third line, Buchnevich, Thomas, and Tarasenko. All right, Josh, I think, that Rasmussen Nemestikov line is going to go out against O'Reilly and Perron, and that'll leave the second lines out against each other. So what do you like here in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the line you want to attack on the Red Wings is their top line. Pius Suter has been very good defensively. Rasmussen, Nemestikov have been good defensively. The Larkin line has just been very high event. And if they're going to get, Bobby Thomas, Vladimir Tarasenko, Buchnevich, that's the line I want. And they're coming in, 1% right now. They're fairly cheap. Tarasenko is a bit expensive, but he's on the top power play. Thomas, Buchnevich in the 3Ks, both on the second power play unit. I think I'm going to go to St. Louis 3 here. And if you look at, they have a small sample together. They've only played like 3 or 4 games, but they're very leaky defensively as well. So if you like St. Louis 3, you probably should also like Detroit 1. Now this is a 5.5 total. I wouldn't say go nuts here, but it's not going to take much to get over the field in MME on either Detroit 1 or St. Louis 3. So that's where I like, it is Ville Husso in net. I don't know if he's better than Bennington, worse than Bennington, same as Bennington. Bennington's bad, so Husso's probably bad. So Detroit 1 for me, St. Louis 3.
I'm really at a loss as to what to do with this game, because those new St. Louis lines really threw me through a loop. I thought I would have some good matchups for that St. Louis second line, but the St. Louis second line is all mashed up, and I don't really like going against that Suter, Zadina, Fabry line, which sounds crazy to me.
They've been very good.
But they've been good, and I think a lot of that is credit to Pius Suter. But Zadina is definitely taking another step in the right direction. So, I think I'm out on both the second lines here. And yeah, I agree with you. Buchnevich, Thomas, Tarasenko, and Bertuzzi, Larkin, Raymond are the lines I like the most, but they're also going to be facing each other. So I'm not sure how much of either I'm actually going to get, because because when you get to that point, you have to just pick one or another. And I don't really have a good system just yet for picking lines that are facing each other. So I'm out on both those second lines. I don't think it's necessary to play a player who's returning from injury in his first game back on the road with a 2.9 total on a 14-game slate. You don't have to slam in your Braden Shens here tonight. So I'll just stick with Buchnevich, Tarasenko, Thomas, 2-mans, 3-mans. Even a 2-man, I think of Buchnevich and Thomas is fine. I know you guys don't like Thomas as much. I still think he has a little Joe Thornton in him. I think he can get those 3 assists. So that's where I am for St. Louis, is down on that third line, which Buchnevich, Thomas, Tarasenko. The top line for the Detroit Red Wings is where I would go, but I don't think it's a good matchup for that top line going against the Tarasenko line. And St. Louis is just pretty good defensively anyway. So if I get there organically, then I get there organically, but I'm not going to slam in any Detroit here in this game. On the blue line, did you notice your boy, Justin Falk, 3,700?
Was there anything more of a lock than I said? The first person I X'd out is Justin Falk, and he had a goal and an assist.
Anybody missed it? The show on Monday, Josh said Justin Falk, he just straight X'd him out because he was no longer on the power play. And then Justin Falk put up 18 DK points in the first 9 minutes of the game.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we laugh. All right, we do have to move this along. New York Rangers, 2.8 implied goal total going into the Islanders. The Islanders have a 2.6 implied goal total. Like, I'll just say straight up, Josh, I don't have any interest in the Islanders tonight. Lee out, Bailey out, Chara out, Nelson out. Who knows how many more players they might lose from COVID. So like I don't know, if you want to one-off someone, like one-off Barzal, or like, I get it, but I'm not doing that. Out on the Islanders entirely, at least their forwards. Talk to us about the Rangers and their potential lines here tonight.
Yeah, I don't know, because they practice with Kreider, Zibanejad, Hunt, Panarin, Strome, Kakko, Lafreniere, Hedel. But Gallant today said he was thinking about moving Lafreniere around the lineup. He might mix up the top line. He might mix up that second line, which would be ridiculous. That might just be coach speak. I don't know. On a 14-game slate, if you want to, I would imagine Strome, Panarin are going to stay together. Zibanejad and Kreider are going to stay together. So if you want to use the Rangers, those are the combos to use. I don't know how much Rangers I'm going to get to tonight. I don't know if I want to pay $7,500 for Panarin on the road. This is, I agree with you on the Islanders. I'm probably out on them. On the Rangers in 150, I'll get to a little bit of Strome, Panarin, a little bit of Zibanejad and Kreider. But other than that, I think the focus for me is going to be Igor and maybe some guys on the blue line.
Yeah, I get what you're saying about Panarin 7,500 on the road. That is kind of a tough pill to swallow. I just think that this is a really, really good matchup for them, right? Like, the Islanders were trashed defensively before the COVID problems hit, and this is not going to help in the slightest. And, Panarin, Strome, and Kakko, they've had their struggles this year, but I thought they've really started to look better the last 3 or 4 games once Kakko returned from injury and got a couple of games under him. So I do like that Rangers second line here. Like, there's nothing that concerns me about the Islanders. Like, I'm sorry,
this together, yeah.
Assuming they're together, like, there's just nothing that concerns me. If you just want a 2-man like Strome, Panarin, I think that's fine as well. No issue with that. You can leave Kakko off, but I think I would just go the full 3-man here. Like, the Islanders, like I said, before all these injuries hit, they were bad. Like, this isn't going to go away or get any better. The implied goal total is what's scaring me more than anything. I don't know why it's not higher. That is what's scaring me.
Well, it's because the Rangers are one of the worst 5-on-5 teams in hockey.
Yeah, okay. That's true. But the Islanders have just been so bad defensively this year. Anyways, but I do get it. So yeah, that's where I am. I'm probably gonna have a little bit of Rangers too. Nothing else for forwards for me from this game. On the blue line, I think people make fun of me, but I think Trouba kind of makes sense as a one-off here tonight. Yeah. He's going to be involved. If the team gets involved offensively, he's going to be involved offensively, and he's in that no man's land price range where no one's going to have him.
Yeah, I always like Trouba until he gets up around 6K. I think he's a perfectly fine one-off. Robin Salo, Noah Dobson, both power play one, both, Salo's 2,900, Dobson 3,400. I probably just go Salo just to save the money if you want to one-off there, but not super enthusiastic about either of them.
Yeah, I feel you there. We have an Awesemo Hall of Fame here at Awesemo.com where we like to celebrate all of our big winners. And I don't necessarily mean big by cash value. I mean big just by contest size. So if you want to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame and have a chance to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, this is how you do it. You download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. You place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants, and you tweet the wins to the Awesemo HOF account. That's all you have to do. You can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, but you only get 1 free month per calendar year. And you'll see some screenshots of some of the winners that we've had lately. Vetro chopping first. NFL Showdown. I know how brutal Showdown can be. So not a bad job there. Let's see top 3 from Jay Styles in the NBA Minimax. Good stuff. That's a great spot to learn to MME, by the way. I see Luis taking down $500 first place. That looks like NBA as well. P. Hanley taking down chopping for 5 figures. NFL Austin Eckler in captain. So lots of winners from NFL, NBA. Earlier in the show, we went over our NHL winners from last night. Good stuff all over the site. So be sure to send in your screenshots as long as you place top 3 in a contest with at least 5,000 contestants, so you can get in the Awesemo Hall of Fame. All right, let's keep this moving. Vegas, 2.7 implied goal total. They're going into Nashville. Predators have a 2.9 implied goal total. It looks like Philip Forsberg may be back for the Predators tonight. He practiced this morning on the top line. I guess it would be the top line, maybe the second line, with Ryan Johansson and Eli Tolvanen. They kept Cunnin, Duchesne, and Granlund together. That's expected to be the top 6. And I'm assuming the Forsberg line goes out against Mark Stone. Yep. We just don't know because, Forsberg's been out for so long. We haven't had these particular line combinations. But what do you like, Josh?
So, man, I kind of like that Forsberg, Johansson, Tolvanen line, assuming Pacioretty's out. Because if Pacioretty's in, that is not a matchup you want to see. Like with Pacioretty out, their defensive numbers fall off a cliff. But with him in, their defensive numbers are incredibly good. So, and it's an 8 p.m. game. So like this could be an interesting swap game if you're paying attention, like from the get. If Pacioretty's out, I think, maybe you try to get some Forsberg, Johansson, Tolvanen in. If not, like maybe some Granlund, Duchesne, but I don't know. Like this game is nothing. I'm gonna go in like in 1 to 3. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna jam some 7,600 Forsberg, and he hasn't played in a month. Let's do it. You know what I mean? So in 1 to 3, I'm a bit reserved just because these players are coming back from injuries. It's a 5.5 total. It's a 14 game slate. I'll stick with what I know and go, Granlund, Duchesne, something like that. But in MME, I think, if Pacioretty's back and Forsberg's back, though, I think I'd try to get in some Vegas 1 or the Pacioretty line if he's in. And if he's out, I'm going to try to get in some Forsberg, Johansson, Tolvanen.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is that it's tough with the time start, right? So, it's probably something that might work better. I guess, you could build your 1 to 3 lineups. You could build around a late swap, but
if you're MMEing, you leave a couple lineups or whatever, how many lineups with only late players, and then you can just like re-crunch or something with those lineups or something.
Yeah, exactly. And there are like 6 or 7 late games tonight, right? So there are spots that you can go to otherwise. Nashville's second line, that Cunnin Granlund line hasn't been really that great, like 50% expected goals. And they're going to see a lot of that Vegas, that Roy Smith line. And Roy Smith haven't been that bad. I don't mind them as 2-man, Roy and Smith or Roy and Janmark, what have you. I think those are one of the 2-mans I'm going to look at for my super cheap, 2-man stacks to fit in my more expensive stacks. In other spots. The big thing about Nashville is that they do take a lot of penalties. And so if I were to stack a full line from Vegas, it would be the top line, like a 3-man stack, because they do all play the power play together. But if I were to 2-man and go super cheap, I would just dump down to the second line. Nothing for Nashville for me. On the blue line, I think Braden McNabb 3K makes fine as a block shot bot. I don't know, man, like 22 minutes at 6,300 and 7,300 feels like a lot of money to pay for for those minutes. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if I prioritize anything on the Vegas side. McNabb's a fine punt. Yossi, if I was on the show with Jake, I would be contractually obligated to say play 80% of him. But at 8K and him not on the show, I think, you kind of reserve it for, correlated stacks. You can have him as a one-off here and there. If you have the salary, I wouldn't go out of my way to force him in.
All right, good enough. Let's move this along. Anaheim, 2.3 implied goal total. They're going to Colorado. The Avs have a 3.4 implied goal total. I haven't seen anything, news-wise too much about this game. I did write up Sam Girard in my Power Plays article today, just in the expectation that Colorado would have a huge implied goal total at home, and they do, and he's 3,500. So, Sam Girard definitely makes a lot of sense to me as a one-off. But what do you like about the forwards in this game, Josh?
I just don't know if I'm going to get too much Colorado tonight. If you want a power play stack, I think that'd be where I look. It's just really expensive. And you were talking about it, Ran and Landeskog without McKinnon just kind of falls off cliff. Yeah, it's the Ducks, but like they've actually been like fairly good this year. I hate to say it, like they've actually been pretty good. And then you look at, Nishushkin, Kadri, Burakovsky, like in their sample, 71 minutes. It's not a very small sample. It's not a very big one. It's kind of, we need to see more, but we can start plucking numbers from it. 52% shot share, but only 1.7 expected goals for, which isn't great. And they're giving up for 14 high danger chances per 60 and almost 3 expected goals against. So like you look who they're matching up against, Milano Cookies, Trevor Zegras, and Ricard Raquel, and you see their ownership under 1%. Yeah, we're gonna have some Milano Cookies for dessert tonight. So honestly, that's the only line I like in this game. Milano, Zegras, Raquel. If you want to have some Colorado, that's perfectly fine. You want to go to, Connor McDavid, Troy Terry, whatever. But for me, I'm concentrating on, and listen, when I say concentrating, I'm saying I'm going to have a little bit. We're not going to go ham on, Milano, Zegras, Raquel, but they're fully correlated. This isn't the best version of the Avs. And at the ownership, it won't take much to get over the field on a fully correlated line.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned Anaheim too, because that was the line that I picked out of this game. And just to kind of, put a little exclamation point on what you were talking about, I think a couple of days ago with Nick Delorier, when Nick Delorier is off that line, 65% shot share, 76% expected goal share. Like they just roll when he's not there. And you talked about how Colorado too, how they're, they've been good, but they haven't been dominant. And as long as the line's not dominant, I'm not super concerned about the matchup. So like, I do like, Zegras, Milano 2-man. I think that's a perfectly fine 2-man to put in your Boston stacks or, your super expensive Toronto stacks or, Edmonton. We'll talk about that next, what have you. So I do like that. On the Colorado side, I'm probably going to avoid the expensive players. I'm going down to the third line. Jost, Newhook, Aube, Kubel. Newhook and Aube Kubel have looked good together. I've watched every game since Kubel got there. I still can't believe the Flyers put him on waivers. That was one of the dumbest things I've seen. Yeah, Alain Vigneault, baby. God bless him. Just putting a legit middle six winger on waivers. What are you guys? Sorry, Mike. So I do like Newhook and Aube Kubel. Like they're above water. As a line together. So as a super cheap 2-man, I do like that from Colorado. Newhook, Aube Kubel. Mike's got his he's petting his gritty bobblehead in sadness. But Zegras, Milano, Raquel is more my focus in this game. As I mentioned, Sam Girard on the blue line, 3,500 is fine. I guess correlating, with your power plays, is there a defenseman that sticks out to you?
If you're using that Zegras line, Jamie Drysdale, top power play, 2,900. I think you can put him in. And that, I can't believe on a 14-game slate we're super enthusiastic about the Ducks, but here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
And Devin Tays, 4,800. He's kind of in that 45 to 5K no man's land, but he's been playing great, 4,800, tons of minutes. I think I prefer him as a one-off over Kel McCarr.
All right, fair enough.
There, obviously.
we only have 7-8 minutes left in the show. Before we get out of here, if you guys could give us a like and a subscribe, help keep up with those DFS offers and giveaways that we talk about all the time, and please hit that notification button so that you do get alerts whenever we go live. All right, this is the game everybody's waiting for. I think Edmonton 3.5 implied goal total. They're going into Arizona. The Yotes have a 2.5 implied goal total. I did notice that there's been a little bit of money going on to the Phoenix side, but I don't think it's enough where we're going to be like, oh, it's 12% Connor McDavid tonight. That's not what's going to happen here at all. So why don't you take us through your process on the Edmonton side here, Josh?
Yeah, that's just, Wiley and the boys, just trying to get money on the Yotes to lower McDavid's ownership, but that it's not going to happen. It's a 14-game slate. He's back-to-back on the road, 9,600, coming off a bus game. It's going to be 30% owned. Make the man 10-5. Just do it. Just do it. But what do you do tonight? Coyotes matchup centers are out. What does that even mean? They don't have a matchup center. This is a dream matchup for McDavid. So what do you do? What do you do with a 30% player on a 14-game slate who can easily just break the slate in a period? In GVPs, I think you have to fade. And as scary as it is, you just gotta hope. You gotta hope that there is more paths to victory than McDavid just having a 48-point game and nuking the slate. Because there is a lot of value that you can put in, but in 1 to 3 lineups, I'm flag planting. And I'm going to fade McDavid and hope he just doesn't go crazy. This is the best matchup on the planet. He's going to be, massively on a 14-game slate. But last night, if you faded McDavid at 50%, whatever he was, you're ahead of half the field. I don't know about tempting fate twice, but I'm going to give it a shot. I might be begging for change on the corner tomorrow morning, but that's what I'm going to do. On the Coyotes, adios. No, thank you. I'm out.
Yeah, I got nothing on Arizona either. Maybe Dyson Mayo for some block shots or something like that, but that's it. I am not on the fade Edmonton train. That is not my recommendation. I think we're going to be of differing opinions on this one. The Arizona penalty kill is just absolute dog water, right at the bottom of the league. Their 5-on-5 numbers, not very good either. The only question is whether McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be skating together on the same line. I don't think it matters. I think if you play one tonight, you play both because of how bad that Arizona penalty kill is. I think we could see the Oilers nuke tonight solely through the power play. And that's why I'm focusing more on their power play guys. Obviously McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, and Nugent Hopkins and those guys. I think where you can save some money here is on the blue line, right? No Nurse and probably no Duncan Keith. With, Oscar Klefbom already out of the lineup for the season, this blue line is getting thin. Cody Cece's probably going to have to play close to 25 minutes. You laugh, but he's going to have to play a lot of minutes, man.
I'm laughing because I knew where you're going as soon as oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to save a little bit of money, just throw on Cody Cece instead of Tyson Barrie and save $2,400 over on DK. I think that's perfectly fine. So yeah, I do love Edmonton here tonight. Love them a lot. Let's move along to the next game. Toronto 3.0 implied goal total. Going into Los Angeles, the Kings have a 2.5 implied goal total. I just saw it on my timeline that Andreas Athanasiou is in COVID protocols. That's not good because that could mean other players in COVID protocols between now and the start of the game. Probably not, but it's just something to worry about. I assume that means Dustin Brown goes back to the top line and then Kempe down to the second line. But they've been playing Arthur Kaliev quite a bit lately, top line, top power play, end of the game. So maybe Kaliev gets some second line minutes here. I'm going to, I think that could be what happens here tonight. So Arthur Kaliev flat out is one of my favorite one-offs on the entire slate among forwards, but I'm not super high on Los Angeles as a whole. What do you got here, Josh?
Yeah, I want to get behind the Kings, but I'm just having trouble getting there. Anthony Ciu out. I agree with you. I think Kaliev moves up. I think, the Kings realizing Dustin Brown is over the hill and got pushed all the way down it. He's not the player he was. Not that, he was a super great player before that, but I think bottom six role suits him the best. You want to sprinkle in some Kings 1 in MME, go for it. I just, in 1 to 3, I don't think I'm going to have anything on the Kings. The more lineups I make, the more likely I am going to get to a little bit of the Kings. On the Leaf side, this is interesting because, you have McDavid at, God knows what tonight. And yeah, I like him and I'm fading him, la-di-da. But like, I think this is a great spot to get a low on Matthews tonight. There aren't many great spots to get a low on Matthews. And, this isn't like the greatest spot. This isn't like playing the Coyotes, but if you can get Matthews at 6% opposed to McDavid at 30%, on a 14 gamer, I think you take those chances in GPPs. Yes, you play him with Mitch Marner, and yes, you don't like it, but yes, you do it. So, you want to put in Bunting too, that's fine. But I think you can do like a Matthews Marner and put in Nylander for like a power play stack. But this game, I don't think I'm really going to concentrate much on 1 to 3, but I do really like the prospects of getting a low on Matthews Marner combo.
Yeah, I'm not in on either side here. Los Angeles just doesn't take any penalties. And, Toronto, their power plays really come around. That's something that's really floated their value of late is their power play. If they only get a couple power plays, it's going to be tough to come through. So I'm actually out on both sides. Like I said, I do like Kaliev a lot as a one-off here tonight, but that's about it. Let's move along to actually, before we move along, we have upcoming shows just after us. We only have a few minutes left, but after us, you have the Yahoo NFL Thursday preview show with Kaufman and Greg. That is followed by the Jock Market NFL Thursday and Sunday preview show with Aton and Jeff, and then the No House Advantage NFL Strategy Show after that. So 3 NFL shows, and then your double dose of NBA, which starts at 4:45 Eastern time. So a couple more games to get through real quick. Carolina going into Seattle. Carolina 3.0 implied goal total. Seattle sitting at 2.6. One of the two mans that I do like here today, and it's because Carolina takes so many penalties. They're by far the most penalized team in the league, is Schwartz and Yarncroc, believe it or not. They're playing the same power. They're on the same power play unit together. They're on the second power play unit. Yarncroc min price, Schwartz under 4K, so you can stack them real cheap. I do like them as a 2-man, and I do like Carolina's top line a lot here tonight. I think they can rip apart that Brandon Tanev, Jared McCann matchup. So Carolina 1, 2-man of Schwartz and Yarncroc for me out of this game. What do you have?
I agree. You just got to make sure, Carolina has the same lines. Roddy B been going a little bit crazy with the lines, but if it's Aho, Teravainen, and Jarvis, I do like it. If Svechnikov moves up, I still like it. I probably like it more. But yeah, I agree with you on Schwartz, Yarncroc. And Seattle's a pretty decent defensive team, but like Grubauer has been absolutely terrible. So Carolina makes a lot of sense.
Yep, I agree. He has been really bad. Last game, Ottawa 2.5 implied goal total. They're going into San Jose. The Sharks have a 3.0 implied goal total. We talked about Ottawa's COVID problems on the last game. They did score 5 goals against Colorado, but they gave up 7. I think the thing to note here is Zach Sanford moved to the top line for Ottawa, playing with Brady Tkachuk and Josh Norris. That brings down the cost of that line quite a bit. What do you have here, Josh?
Yeah, I like the Ottawa top line. If you want to leave off Sanford, I think that's fine. Go with the Norris Tkachuk 2-man. But really, where I like the San Jose top line. You want to leave off Balsers and go to Tomas Hertl for a 3-man, a little spicy meatball for a little power play. I think that's perfectly fine. You don't have to include Carlson 5,400 for 25 minutes of I hope you're hungry. I hope you're hungry for nothing. So like that's what Carlson has been doing all season. So if you want to leave him off, that's fine. But I do like the Sharks power play, a little bit of the Ottawa top line.
Yeah, I will say I like the Ottawa second line better. They moved Tim Stützle back down with Connor Brown, and they're both on the top power play unit. So I think Brown and Stützle actually makes a nice 2-man here tonight. All right, we've run a bit long. We do have to get out of here. Before we do, Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies. My hat trick pick is Anthony Duclair, and my goalies are John Gibson, Jonathan Quick, and Ilya Samsonov. Who you got?
I like Gibson. I like Igor. And my hat trick pick is gonna be Nikolai Ehlers.
There you go. Nikolai Ehlers, Anthony Duclair are your 2 hat trick picks. To Mike and to Josh, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Enjoy your Turkey Day tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving to all the American watchers, to my fellow American to my American friends. We will be back on Friday with a show at some point in the afternoon. For Mike, for Josh, this is Slim Cliffy saying happy Thanksgiving and good luck tonight, everybody.
Good luck.